Okay. We're beginning the meeting at 12:10, November 9th, of the Kona Development Plan Action Committee. It's November 19th, 2024. I guess first we'll start with roll call, and I would ask committee members to introduce themselves as we go around the room, and then maybe staff introduce yourselves as well. So I'm Charles Young. I live in Kealia in South Kona. I'm the current chair. Let's start with Kyle.
I'm Charlotte Thompson, and a new member to the Action Committee. Very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
and welcome.
Very much. Nancy Kasikia, Vice Chair.
I'm John Pelletier. I live in O'oma, North Kona.
And
Heather Karate. I live in Captain Cook.
okay, great staff.
Martin Palmer with the planning department. Planning department.
Okay, welcome all, and thank you for your journey across the island. Okay, and I think we might be waiting for one more committee member.
So we have a quorum if he doesn't show up, don't we? Yeah.
We do have a quorum. So, first order of business, I guess, is to approve the minutes from our last meeting. If we can get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so are there any discussion on the minutes, amendments, comments, additions? Okay, well, hearing none, then we have a motion. All in favor of approving the minutes of our October meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Oppose, nay. Hearing none, then the minutes of the October meeting have been approved. I think we have some housekeeping things too with regards to. Let me just make sure. Okay, so on with regards to public testimony, generally we take testimony. We invite people to testify at the beginning of the meeting, but also I always leave space for folks to testify or make comment on the subject item when we bring it up as a business item. So anyone in person, if you are going to testify, then we ask that you identify yourself and speak into close to the owl. Anyone on Zoom, I think for those here, we have sign-up sheets, but for anyone in Zoom, can you please let our staff know that you wish to testify so that we can bring you up when that's appropriate. So, and testifiers, please keep in mind that you need to identify yourself and the subject that you wish to speak about too. Okay. So with that said, we can move on business item 1. 12:14. And I think everybody knows we're gonna have a new administration starting in December. So one of the things we wanted to do was maybe have a discussion on an invitation for the new mayor's attendance and a discussion and action to invite the newly elected mayor to attend an upcoming Kona CDP Action Committee meeting.
May I make a motion to approve that suggestion?
I'll second the motion.
I think Janice wanted to.
Yeah. Janice, you had any comments?
I do. I have two things that I wanted to comment on, and I'm sorry I don't have the agenda number handy. One was about inviting the new mayor. So that can I just give my comments for that? The other one was about the general plan.
Okay, well, I don't believe the general plan's on the agenda. Janice, but go ahead on the first item.
Oh, okay. I thought there was something about, okay. So about the new mayor, as far as bringing the new mayor into the CDP fold, I feel like this is critical for him to start, thanks everybody, by the way, Mahalo, sorry. Janice Paul McGuinty. I think it's critical for him to start understanding the importance of the plan as well as the legal imperative that his administration has to implement and follow it. From the debate between him and Mayor Roth, it was clear in my conversations after that debate with the mayor-elect that he was largely unfamiliar with the KCDP. One thing he said that night and has said following that debate is that he supports the idea that people be allowed to build as many houses as they want on their properties, especially for Ohana. I was disappointed to see that as a campaign statement, especially because our conversation was about concurrency and how the CDP requires infrastructure to be built by the county as a pre-development requirement. So there's a lot for him and all of us to learn. And having seen the offhand way that the last administration has handled our plan at times, it's imperative for all of us in this room and beyond to impress upon the new mayor our connection and our interdependence upon it for a more sustainable and healthy future. Thanks.
Thanks, Janice.
Thanks, Janice. I would just, for myself, I would reply, I think most of us on the committee share your sentiments as well, and that's why it's on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah, we did want to have that discussion and possibly take some ideas as to, what your intentions or community intentions would be and what our intentions would be too. So that's, I think you summarized your views adequately, perfectly. So I'll just open it up for discussion for the
I don't think we
committee.
actually made the motion yet.
I
We started to, and then you let Janice testify.
Yeah, but then we haven't approved the motion, but we have the motion yet, right? So we can discuss.
I don't know if I didn't know if it was made, if it was formalized.
He moved, you seconded, right?
Opposite.
Opposite,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah, so it's open for discussion
okay.
before we take the
The
vote.
general plan is open. to-
No, the invitation to the mayor,
Invited Mayor.
yeah,
Excellent.
so,
Yeah, I think,
Anyway, I
I
open
think
up-
it's open to discussion. I think we definitely should write the letter. And I think just the act of writing the letter will, even no matter what happens after that, whether he decides to come or not come, or whether he sends his new planning director, whatever happens, I think it's important, like Janice suggested, that he's brought were brought to his attention, and the letter would be the first step in accomplishing that by sending a letter saying, this is the Kona CDP Action Committee, and we think it's important that you understand, why we've been meeting for all these years, and we really appreciate it if you come to our January meeting. And so I think it's a great idea and Charlie thought of the idea. I think it's a really great idea and very important to send the letter.
yeah, I think in fairness to the mayor too, we should try and be specific on what we would want to ask him or speak about, so he can be himself prepared or bring somebody, bring some persons with him at the time. And just as a matter of point of order, if we approve to send him a letter, the content of the letter, we can compose after we do the or does the letter have to be specific in terms of the detail of what we want to have specific conversations with him?
Yeah. The letter needs to be drafted in a sense that if you're gonna just do if you're gonna say the letter needs to include these sentiments or these ideas, and then it is drafted after that, and it has to stick to that, it can't really vary it, then I think corporation council allows that. But it's better or you can vote to do a letter and then draft it and then bring it to the next meeting and then agree on the language of it. What we've had people, committee members do is really just say it out, and we'll scribble it out, and then we'll help draft it as written and submit it. And if you guys want to do it all in one meeting kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Charlie, I don't know if I agree with you that it needs to be specific, because I think this is more of an introduction, like I think it's premature to expect him to be able to respond specifically. And I think this is more of he probably doesn't have a clue what CDPs are. And I think, just to invite him to join our meeting and for us to share why we've been doing this all these years would be more to educate him rather than expecting answers about anything from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, because if we get into, if it's on the agenda for public testimony, then I want to make sure that we stay within some boundary, allow him some courtesy of staying within one boundary, and general public or even us cannot or would not be bringing up things that are.
Yeah, I don't think we
Right.
should be bringing up things to expect him to respond to. I think it's more for him to
Okay.
meet us and to meet
Yeah.
what we're doing.
So I want to make sure we capture that in the letter somehow, so that it doesn't seem like it's just gonna be completely open. I don't have the words for that, but,
Um,
go ahead.
I was thinking we have this amazing resource in the room right there, Nancy. Who's been with this project since it was a little sparkle in her eye. And I see more of a presentation, being given, like where just specific important points, highlights of the plan are given to the mayor, just pique his interest, while giving him the imperative of the nature of it. I don't think that he's going to be able to absorb. There's going to be so much for him to absorb in so many areas. But I think that, there's ways that we could distill it and then invite him back at another time when, the dust has settled a little bit to get into the minutiae. But that's how I see it anyway. And, just somebody from a bird's eye view. I mean, not just Nancy, Charlie, you've been involved, other people too, but you know what I mean? There are just specifics that, the points of the plan, just even the 10 visions, that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's just my thought about it.
Hey, thank you.
Why do we need regional planning? Just explain that to him. We need
Yeah.
to read. That'll be enough.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we wanna couch it as a presentation.
Yes,
Okay,
offer him
I'm
a
good.
presentation, invite him to receive a
Right.
presentation.
and we can compose that language
Yeah.
sometime before we,
Yeah,
after the motion and before we send it,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can help if anybody wants me to.
okay. Has anyone any ideas that you might want to
I
incorporate?
just have a question,
Yeah,
from a newbie, without any experience. Is there no room to have an open discussion with him about certain items? Is it always gotta be, this is exactly what we're gonna be talking about and we're not gonna go outside of that purview? Or is there
It
anything?
depends on that's why we're discussing this now, is
Okay.
what is the letter gonna say?
Right.
If we say it's gonna be a presentation and then he shows up and we talk to him about pulling up the rotten sewers, that would be
Right.
appropriate, so that's what we're trying to flush out. He's ignorant of this process.
We wanna whet his appetite.
Yeah, so we want
To
to
dig in deeper and see the
cordial-
merit,
a
right?
cordial introduction to the process.
Okay.
Yeah. But generally speaking, you should have items on the agenda if you want to discuss them.
Okay.
yeah, as chair, if the items are not on the agenda, then it's really the duty of chair and staff to get us back onto the agenda, so we have to be, I won't say creative, but we have to allow for the fact that we want discussion, but it still has to have some kind of boundaries, otherwise, we'll get.
So if he's giving us his vision.
And people want to ask questions,
Exactly.
that I think is not what we are presenting, no, we're gonna invite him for a presentation.
Okay.
And then I think if he feels, comfortable getting into that discussion on, then I think that's open for him. Yeah, that'd be open for him to do, yeah.
I'd like to excite him. I mean, I'm the eternal optimist regarding CDPs, but I'd like to stimulate his interest in thinking this is an opportunity, to assist him, these CDP action committees, and the action committee's been largely ignored, but the plans and the action committees could be a wonderful resource, for the mayor to learn what's going on in the community, and I'd like him to feel good about the presentation, that this is something that's a benefit to him.
And just to chime in a little bit, it's a nice overlap that could potentially happen in terms of if he comes maybe not at this next meeting with for the presentation, but eventually we start learning what his priorities are during his administration, then we can also align ourselves to be kind of doubling down on some of these action items there, or helping provide guidance or different perspectives to what he may be already interested in. It's kind of an opportunity.
I would think that would follow, but at this point, he doesn't have a clue, I
And
think.
exactly, it's
I
very early.
suspect I talked to him on the phone when he was first, getting ready to run for office, and I mentioned the CDPs, and I didn't get the feeling at that point that he had had much exposure at that point. So this is gonna be hopefully a positive learning opportunity for him, I hope.
Yeah. So,
And Charlie, okay. Excuse, I wanted to also say that I think that we were a little late getting out of the gate with the Roth administration. I mean, I think that that's why it's really good to get him there sooner than later, because maybe, our current mayor just, didn't really have that as, and it wasn't obviously a priority for him, and probably because he didn't receive enough, or maybe because he didn't receive enough input. So I think the more that we can impress upon the new mayor how important it is to us, and other community members, I think that will help, like, right at the beginning.
yeah. Yeah, again, he's new, he's gonna be new to the administration, and I do want to give him space. I think it was Obama that said one administration at a time, so he doesn't take over till December 1st. And my thoughts were, let's give him December and then maybe invite him to the January meeting, but we can.
Yeah.
But that was my thoughts originally.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so from a presentation standpoint, Nancy, would you want to put in the language that the presentation would be on the CDP and on the AC's role in the CDP specifically?
Yeah, an introduction to Kona CDP and the action committee's role.
Yeah.
And try to keep it as succinct as possible.
Right, okay,
And I've got a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm sure staff does too, the PowerPoint presentations that went into, describing it. I mean, the correspondence could include an attachment even for him to look at it as leisure, it's sort of summarizes the Kona CDP process.
yeah.
Just for his education and enjoyment.
Okay, so maybe we can put that as a heading there, and then at least that prompts him to be prepared.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be that can be a pretty broad discussion anyway, because the CDP encompasses pretty much.
Just the history
All
of
guidelines.
the process alone is a
I think
pretty
the
major
history is
thing.
probably best, yeah.
If he
And
comes, I'll be thrilled,
well, let's all be prepared to be thrilled. Okay, so we have a motion to write a letter. If there's any more or no further discussion, I want to just call for the vote. All in favor of writing this letter to the mayor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. If opposed, okay, hearing none, then the motion carries. So we will need to get together on the language, well, although it should be pretty simple.
Attorney David is here on Zoom.
Oh, hi, David. Did you hear our discussion on the invitation of the letter to the mayor? Oh, I think you're muted.
I did not, but I'll follow up in the meeting minutes.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so it was motioned and approved. Okay, so that was the only I think that's the only business item we had on the agenda, am I correct? Right. Okay, that was brief. So setting agenda for next meeting. What is our meeting date going to be? December
17th.
17th, that's okay, third week.
Charlie, excuse me, I hate to interrupt. Is there, I thought I saw something on the agenda about a notice about the general plan timing, I just had a comment, and the reason I wanted to comment is because of the timeline about the draft, but I don't know if I can because of the agenda, but I thought I saw something there, and I wanted to ask the action committee kind of for some help. Or their input. Is it
Janice,
possible?
Janice, let me do this, if it's
Yeah.
okay. It's in the announcements piece, I believe.
Yeah.
And right now, the order of business is we're gonna be 5 and 6.
Oh, okay,
which
gotcha,
is-
gotcha. Sorry,
I'll
I don't
just-
have the agenda in front of me. Thank you.
That's okay. I think I can defer the agenda items for next meeting till after the announcements, I believe. And then we can take that up right now if you want to.
Okay, I just have a short thing I wanted to say, and sorry to interrupt that. I just wasn't sure of the program. I'm sorry I didn't have the agenda here with me. Yeah, so I should go ahead and speak now. Is that good? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead and
Okay,
speak.
okay. So the general plan draft 2045 isn't ready for prime time. The process, despite best efforts by people in the planning department, has been uninclusive largely, but not completely, due to the department choosing a platform which has been, for some people, including myself, nearly impossible to use and access. It was requested time and again that charrette-style public meetings be held as a way for the public to discuss, be enlightened upon, interact in the highest way possible with the broadest amount of stakeholders from their communities on any and all aspects of the plan. This hasn't happened. Instead, we've been subjected to informational meetings time and again that required bravery for some people who would like to take part, but feel they don't have enough expertise or knowledge, and as well as the frightfully discouraging misnamed workshops that allowed basically no public input. No one is asking the county to go back to the drawing board 100%, but many members of the public are still asking that this process be opened up again in a meaningful, inclusive way that includes large interactional public meetings. And if there's going to be a platform for the public online, it should be proven to be user-friendly by those who aren't super tech savvy. This platform, the Conveo platform, stumped even the most tech-savvy people I know. I asked that the action committee put forward a letter of recommendation along the lines of my testimony before this process is closed and the public has been far too shut out, despite claims of endless comments being taken. For the plan to be truly representative of a diverse cross-section of our island communities, more large group interaction is needed, as occurred in the last general plan process and in the creation of our award-winning Kona Community Development Plan. So thank you. I know that might be beyond, your purview, but it is getting down to the crunch. And anyway, I just wanted to ask that. Thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate you letting me butt in.
Sure.
Janice,
Yes, ma'am.
are you gonna provide this information to the Leeward Planning Commission? Because their meeting is scheduled and they're gonna start, reviewing the plan. It seems like they need to hear what you have. We've heard this before from you and
Mhm.
Chuck. I think they need to hear it.
Well, I've said it to them many, many times too. And I feel like nothing has really, there's just been no slowing it down and no change at all in the process. I mean, the informational, the so-called workshops, I think that was where I was just hoping that they had heard and that, that was what was going to happen. There was going to be these interactional workshops, and it was just another presentation with a few questions written down that were answered, and there was tons more and plenty of time. So I'm going to you guys because I feel a bit disempowered by the whole process, and I'm hoping that because you guys have an organization that is involved in land use at the most core level, that maybe just some nudge from somewhere else. I'm asking everybody. So yeah, I definitely reiterate it to the planning commissions, but I like I said, I feel like the planning department people have heard me. I just don't know why we haven't had those kind of meetings. I'm not privy to that, and the explanations I've had just made no sense as far as why we could do it before and why it's just not happening now. And I think it's a very, very big deal. So, thanks. That's why I keep on, that's why I keep on saying it. So thanks for hearing me.
Yeah, I think it's fair game to assume that that can be part of the presentation is the importance of the AC and then the role of the CDPs and the attention that needs to be given to it by administration. So I think I fully understand what you're saying.
Related to the general plan though, right? You mean the general plan? Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, I just don't know how that process is going to play out because we're still waiting to see if that one bill is approved that would allow the more in-depth or, significant changes to be made and amendments to be made. So still waiting for that too.
Okay.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And I'll conclude that and go to the second announcement, which was the planning department is currently seeking applications for Kona CDP Action Committee and Cultural Resources Commission. No updates on that? Okay. Okay,
Yeah, this helps spread the word, I guess.
yeah. Okay. All right, so agenda items for next meeting. We'll go back to that.
When I think we should put the neighborhood board Senate bill back on because I'm sure we'll have the new draft by then, so we could share the new draft with the committee that's going to be introduced. I heard from Senator Kenny's office this morning, and they thought we'd have the upcoming draft for submittal to the Senate at the end of this week, so we'll have it by next meeting. So I think that should be on our agenda.
Okay. So we're gonna have a draft, you think?
Yeah.
Next thing.
According to what Mr. Mann sent in his email this morning.
Could you,
I suspect it'll be pretty similar to the last year's version with a different title.
say new title yet?
So Kanua's gonna introduce it, you think?
He's gonna introduce it on the Senate side. It's kind of up to us to try to find somebody to introduce it on the House side, which we never did last year. We didn't really have time to get our act together, but I think I'd like to work on making sure that happens this time.
Should we maybe put on the agenda a discussion about maybe sending a letter to someone
We can,
or send a letter to all? Our
yeah, that's what we did last time.
did the last
A
time?
lot of correspondence went out last time. And I was gonna seek Senator Kanuha's guidance. They sort of suggested to me when I first contacted them about reintroducing it, that they could provide us some guidance how to approach the House. So I was gonna ask them, and I probably have that information by next meeting too. I think they probably have more of an insider perspective on what the best approach might be. So I'd really be happy if they give us some guidance on how to go about that successfully.
What is this concerning? What is this concerning?
The changing, loosening up sunshine law,
Okay, got it.
we talked about a little
Yeah,
bit last.
Yeah.
Well, I
I was
can
just
send you
lost
all
for
the
a minute.
background material.
Yeah, I read a lot about
Okay.
it.
At this point, I don't personally have anything else to add to the next agenda, because I have a feeling this is gonna start consuming my attention, this particular issue.
Yeah. Well, again, we don't have to publish the agenda until a week before committee members, you all have the opportunity to propose additions to the agenda. On behalf of yourselves or even the community, if you hear something, so at this point, it's really the only subject is the neighborhood board. And
Should we put the general plan on the agenda?
I was gonna ask about that,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was
we
gonna
should. I don't know specifically what we should put on it. I mean, the Leeward Planning Commission's gonna meet and talk about it, so, I mean, be interesting to hear what they have to say, but those
When-
are gonna go on for a long time, yeah.
Maybe we should have that on the agenda, just so if something comes up through the Leeward Planning Commission process or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
we can
maybe follow
respond
up
to
with
it if we
yeah.
need to. We have the opportunity. If it's not on the agenda, we won't have the
Yeah,
Okay, so just discussion on general plan,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay.
Great idea.
Heather, David, any comments on next month's agenda?
I don't have,
Okay,
And just to clarify that the discussion on the general plan, is that kind of an open thing depending on what they discuss or any things, any questions that we have about it? And can we discuss that as well? About the general plan
Well,
clarification?
before you came
or-
aboard, we kind of, like, we put comments together and sent them already, you know,
Okay.
so it's kind of past the
Can I-
point right now. you
Can I
know?
get a copy of any of those things so I can kind of,
Do you have the comments that the action committee submitted to the general
I would
plan?
love to
that-
see
that's-
The ones that you guys
what page you
previously
got
submitted,
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah,
That'd be great. That'll help
I'll
her
add it to
kind
my
of see what,
reading material.
and then when, at some point, we need to decide like whether we want to send new comments to the council or whatever. And it's gonna be going on, you know, for a long time.
Yeah,
yeah, our comments kind of dealt with more aligning the CDP, the general plan to our CDP. Those were kind of the comments we put together. Yeah.
When do they estimate? I remember seeing the presentation, but I forgot. When do they kind of estimate the general plan getting to the county council's committee on planning? They had sort of a time frame.
I think it's supposed to be a planning commission until February, possibly into March. And then after that, there's some time period, and then it'll all just get packaged and get to council soon after, so.
I think at that point in the spring, we should, if we want to put our 2 cents worth in it to the committee on planning, we definitely should at that point. Anything new that comes up or any new input from the community that comes up, but,
Yeah, because the planning commissions, they're not approving or denying this, right? They're just giving a recommendation.
Recommendation or
Yeah.
not, or a recommendation with these conditions,
Okay,
they also are allowed to do.
okay.
it kind of seemed to me, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, that to get into any detail with them, you know, kind of wouldn't be worth our time as much as waiting to the committee
So
on planning.
what I've witnessed, what happened at Windward was, there was some outcry against some of the vocabulary. And so I believe the commissioners voted to change some of the vocabulary already that's being used, in the document. So that's one of the conditions that they've already put together. And so they've been kind of doing it like that. So there's potential for
Mm,
them to recommend other conditions be added, or to other changes.
So they'll be making those specific recommendations to the,
That's my understanding so far. I mean, they can always change it, you know, as they go along, but so far they've been. Like the people have kind of, I think the word was stakeholders. People didn't like the word stakeholders that was used, and so they went and created a new term, and now they're gonna change that word throughout the.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what Leeward thinks about it
Mm.
here. Maybe we could follow up with what their thoughts are
Yeah.
about it, yeah.
There's also specific landowners that are now have gotten their notices of the changes, potential proposed changes, and so they've been coming to the meetings, and planning, I believe, has been asking them to come, provide also something in writing, and so then the commissioners might review that and also decide to go with the current land use map in the draft, or to propose a change also. The land use map. So there's also that opportunity.
Janice is waving her hand.
Oh,
That's okay when you're done. So just getting back to my point, and I know that there's time ahead, but if there was any support on the action committee about a different style of hearings, and I don't know if that could happen during the county council process, or, you know, that was why I brought it up now, is before it finished through the planning commission. So I don't know how that works and, you know, how that would work, but I just wanted you to realize that that's why I brought it up now, even though it sounds like there's so much time still ahead of us. I don't know if that kind of, you know, the meetings that I'm talking about could take place after that. It seems like once the planning commissions have gone through the review, it's harder and harder to make any substantive changes. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, we can't do anything today, yeah, because it's on the agenda, but I think having this on the agenda for next meeting would be good, yeah.
we can have the discussion.
Yeah.
We have had the internal discussions though
Mhm.
on it, and we've done things internally, I think. That are just was between the council and the planning director on some of the. Some of our, some suggestions on the way the process was being handled, but. Okay, but it, yeah, we'll see. So we'll put that on. Can we talk about vice chair and chair?
Yeah,
for
that's
next
another item to put on.
week? Okay, good.
Per chapter 16, we have to do chair elections every year. So Uncle Charlie's term is up and Nancy's, and so it could be that at the December meeting, we put on the agenda to do another election. Or a re-election. And so that's another item.
Will Charlie's year be up then and in December or January?
He's a holdover,
Well, no,
but
his term as chair, not a
term,
full,
well, in December will be over. So at the end of that.
so we
meeting,
have to do it by,
in January, we wouldn't have to, yeah. Yes. A concern with having a holdover as a chair is that if he gets replaced, then we have to do a new chair, but Kona has 2 vacancies, I believe, at the moment. And so we would have to fill those vacancies first anyways, and then there are other AC members that haven't been attending. And we can check in with them and see how they're feeling. When we get there, this, I mean,
no
So
big time pressure at the
we
moment.
don't have that time, yeah, it's not quite as big of a deal as it would be in other scenarios.
So Charlie's stuck with us.
Yeah.
I'm preparing my New Year's resolutions.
I heard that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. But I think we should have that discussion.
Are we having a discussion or are we having a vote, election?
We can do both, but I think we should have the discussion in January, because you can, I mean, in December, you can vote in January.
That's what
But
I was asking, what she was suggesting
Yeah.
to us, whether.
Let's do discussion and vote.
So it would be like nominations and then.
Yeah,
So then the vote would be in
You'd
January,
be elected, I'm sorry,
then the vote would be in January, is that what you're
the vote could
suggesting?
be in December and then it'll carry through.
So what, I was wondering, what did you have in mind when you brought
That
it
we nominate and we vote hopefully, but
In
sometimes we
in
don't get
December.
that far.
up? Okay, that's what I was wondering.
That would be the goal, if not, I think there's January, that's fine. Yeah. But.
Is that all right with you?
yeah, that's okay. Can you update us too on the terms?
Yep.
Whoever, I know I'm heard, we can do that next one too, is when we have that discussion.
Yeah, definitely, I know that Charlotte has 4 years left.
The terms of chair and vice chair.
The time. I think they're looking at all their members.
Have we been on a year?
Yeah, I think a little over a year. I think we started in August.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
In August of the previous year?
yeah,
Really? It's not long already?
yeah. I think I was
Wow.
looking it up and I saw that. Yeah, so you, me, Heather,
Yeah. So what we have is. Intro one. So John, you started, August of last year. So your expiration is your expiration is in May, at the end of May for 2027. Gary's no longer here, Heather is here until the same as John, you guys came together, I believe you've been. Nancy was around the same time as.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we
all
all
the
started
same
the same
Yeah,
time.
so you guys are all here until 2027 of May.
And Zareen and Gary already came and went at the same.
They came and left, so also Daisy came and left. Well, Carla, those seat that you filled actually, will expire. In 2027 also. Let me check in that date, because they should all be expired on the same day. Oh, I see. So yeah, because you were filling in, right, okay, so, but you're good also, like, doesn't, we would just do a reappointment kind of situation. Back to the other one, and then we have David and Rosalind with end of May 2025.
So it's
But
like,
they're both hold, or they're not holdovers, is that what it is? They have been held over since from before, but that's technically the seat they're sitting in, that they're holding over and expires in 2025. Yeah. Yeah. Is that kind of what you're asking for?
Yeah, I guess there would be some concern about three people expiring all in the same year in 2027, because there's plenty of time for planning, I think, between now and then, but we really gotta fill the gaps in.
Yeah.
If it's 2025 and 2027.
And I think it looks, and we like to get a bit of diversity for the whole district, and
Yeah,
I'm saying, Nancy, we have you listed at Kailua. And.
yeah, Cahill,
And Keaho, Charlotte also, Kailua, John, Kailua.
Yeah, north, I'm a kind of a Kalawel.
Okay, Heather, Captain Cook, and Uncle Charlie down south. David and Rosalind, we don't have locations for them. I mean. It's something to keep in mind as we're, recruiting other individuals to get the whole district, so, it would be nice to have more from, that southern Kona area.
And, also diversity, in where people are coming from, different realms of the community too. Their interests, backgrounds, that seems important, kind of how we started it.
okay, well, that's all I have. You,
can't think of anything else.
Hmm?
I can't think of anything else at the moment.
committee members, any other comments? If not, we can move to adjourn.
All motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourning, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Nick, hearing none. We're adjourned.
Right,
Thanks, everyone.
you guys.
I.
Happy Thanksgiving.